Hi, and welcome to my 2022-2023 Premier League predictions. It's going to be one of the hardest seasons to predict in the last decade because of how competitive it is throughout the table. So, starting off, we're going to start with Manchester City. I really don't see any other team winning this apart from City. They by far have the strongest squad. The likes of Calvin Phillips and Haaland have now joined them, along with Cancelo receiving a new contract, and Bernardo Silva, Ruben Diaz, Edison, to name a few. I really don't see anyone else challenging for this position. Be very surprised if anyone else won it. So yeah, they're my champions for the 2022-2023 season. Moving into second place, again, quite obvious, it's Liverpool. They've also made really good signings, Darwin Nunez being the standout one. They also signed Fabio Carvalho. So yeah, they've had quite good business, but again, I just don't see their squad competing with Manchester City. To be honest, I really see like maybe this being a 10 point gap, which is quite surprising. Obviously, we saw in the preseason Liverpool beat Manchester City 3-1, but I do think that Haaland, you saw signs of him being able to just get past easily the likes of Virgil van Dijk, which is just it's stupid, really. And it's going to tear up the league. They're going to get their goal difference is going to be crazy with 6-0 against Southampton. Uh, well, that's just them. But I just do see Liverpool just falling short of City. Well, I say just falling short, about 10 points behind, because I really see City running away with it. I really think they could get Centurions, win a treble maybe. This is City's year, I believe, and Liverpool will just fall behind in, I think, like every category. Moving to third place, and I hate to say this, but I think it'll be Tottenham. And this is because they've made some really good signings. Jed Spence, Yus Basuna, Ivan Perisic, and Richarlison are all great signings. About 150 million spent there. So great job with the signings, and they have a world class manager, and they can already take it further to to top three. They came top four last year. I really think they'll get third spot this year. A lot of people are also predicting them to come third, and I just think with the front three that they have, it's arguably the best in the league, and their defense is rock solid now, especially with Perisic being able to come forward and provide some assists on a wing back position. Moving into fourth spot, very happy to put them there. Might be a bit dodgy. It's going to be Arsenal Football Club, my team, of course. Yeah, the signings we've made are really good. We've signed Gabriel Jesus, we've signed Alexander Zinchenko, and we're basically probably should get Tielemans done. Maybe not. Fabio Vieira as well, Marquinhos. Let's not look past these. These are all like really good rotation. The rotational players, and well, Jesus is going to start over Nketiah, hopefully, which will, we've seen in preseason. He got something like 7 goals in 5 games or something stupid like that, hat tricks in 2 of them, and he was by far our best player in preseason, which is great to see. A new signing succeeding already so well, and yeah, I just see us just about nabbing the fourth position off of fifth position, which I won't say yet, but yeah, I think we've got a really strong squad. We've got a good manager, Mikel Arteta. We've got a project going there. I think we're just about squeezing to that fourth spot, which we've been so close to for the past 2 years, and I think it'll be really good. I also do think we have the potential to go on and win the Europa League. If we don't get the fourth position, if we decide to focus on that, we might drop down to fifth and we win the Europa League instead. But I think either way, Arsenal Football Club will be receiving some form of Champions League next year, which is great to see. Now, moving on to fifth, we got Chelsea. Um, Very surprising for me because I was originally going to make this video a while back and I was going to put them in fourth, but I've relegated them to fifth because, to be honest with you, they've made some good signings here and there. Sterling, Koulibaly, of course, and looks like maybe Cucurella, but I don't really see that as a good signing because I think it's not needed and they're overpaying. Anyway, that we don't know about that yet. But I do think that Chelsea are going to have a shocking season. To be honest, if you looked at them in preseason, I know preseason, but they'd be terrible. They'd be god awful. We beat them 4-0, and we could have easily had 7. And that's not even saying anything. That wasn't because we were good. That was because Chelsea was shit, to be honest. Not good at all. They did not look formidable in defence. So, and you know, all their targets are getting taken by Barcelona. Their transfers have been, you know, Koulibaly and Sterling are the notable ones, but I don't think it'll be enough. Even with, you know, Conor Gallagher coming back from loan, is he really gonna start over Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic? Maybe not. And that's another thing with the squad. You know, a lot of players are getting on. I think Kante had quite a shocking season for his standards last year. And, you know, Jorginho, he's getting on. Mendy's getting on. Azpilicueta's getting on. He should be leaving soon. Thiago Silva's quite old. You're looking at aging defence, and I really think if Chelsea don't bring in some good players now, it could be a struggle for them in the future. But I do think they'll bounce back. I think this will be their season of, you know, despair. Oh no, we've done terrible. And then next season, maybe they'll push into third again, or maybe even second, because I think, you know, the new owners will see, look, we need to make some good signings, and they'll go ahead and do that. I believe they will. Coming in 6th now, we have Manchester United. You know, a lot of people are putting them up in 4th and putting Arsenal in 6th. I don't see this one happening because as much as I think, you know, Eric Ten Hag, great manager, great project going on there. They've got a great chance to succeed. I just don't think they will. I think Man United are just going to struggle. Again, Cristiano Ronaldo, there's always a situation going on with him recently. Press love talking about him, but it's all negative. There's nothing positive happened with him apart from the fact that he is staying at the club. And to be honest, he will bag in goals. He will score, you know, as many goals as you like. But it's not. I don't think it'll be enough. I don't think their midfield is strong enough. I don't think their defense is strong enough, even with the likes of Lisandro Martinez coming in. And you know, De Gea, yes, he had a good season last year, but we've seen how inconsistent he can be over the last, you know, couple of years. I can see him leaking in quite a few goals, and them having shocking defense this season. And I really, to be fair to them, like obviously they've got that project and stuff going on, but I don't see it for some reason, and that's why they're going to take 6th from me. I think maybe, you know, again next year, to be honest, I think in the league, Arsenal aren't going to do very well next year, so, and even Spurs maybe, so I think maybe Chelsea and Man United will interchange with Arsenal and Spurs next year. But I think it's too early to be predicting all that, and I think for this upcoming season, Manchester United will finish 6th place. Now, for 7th place, we have West Ham United. It's a bit predictable there. I don't see this going to any other teams. You know, quite a few shouts for Newcastle. I'll get onto them, but I don't see that happening just yet. For now, I've got West Ham United. I think they've had some really good business. You know, Scamacca, to name one. I was talking to a West Ham fan, and he said that Antonio will play out the wing and Scamacca will play out front. And, you know, Scamacca is a really promising talent from Italy. And I do see him bagging maybe, you know, 10, 15 goals this season. And I think he could be quite good if he starts. If he doesn't start, you know, I still think West Ham will probably get this 7th position. They have a really good squad, you know. Declan Rice has stayed. Fabianski's a great keeper. To name a few players, and they've got a good squad. Like, they just have a good squad, to be honest, and I don't see anyone else getting that Conference League position. I don't think there's much more to say about West Ham. They're gonna have an alright season again. I think maybe I could see them pushing in the Conference League, maybe winning the thing. But I think that's as, you know, maybe they'll win a Carabao Cup as well, something like that. But I did say, you know, City might win the treble. But we'll see about that with West Ham United. They could have a surprisingly good year, maybe even moving up to, you know, 6th place, something like that. But again, I don't see them finishing anything higher than 7th. Moving on to 8th, we have Aston Villa. Again, quite good business from them. A lot of this I'm doing based on business, and I think last season they had quite a disappointing season for their for their squad. But I think now that they've brought in Coutinho on a permanent, which is huge for them, they've also obviously signed Diego Carlos, great defensive backup there. I think they could really push back into these, maybe even a European spot, competing with West Ham for seventh there. You know, Emi Martinez is a great keeper. Steven Gerrard is a great manager. I think they've got something going on there. You know, Leon Bailey might be able to break through this season and actually show why he was a great signing. Same with Buendia. Because I do think they are quality players, and Aston Villa can easily push for a seventh place position. But I think I'll put them eighth for this season. I do think seventh probably asking a bit too much as of right now. So yeah, eighth place for Villa, which I think they'd be happy with this season. Moving on to ninth, we have Brighton and Hove Albion. I really see him having a surprisingly good season, to be honest. Like, even with the likes of Kukurea potentially going and Basuma out, we've already seen that they're going to get. They've got Solly March to play in that left wing back position, and obviously Trossard can play there if he needs to. But I see the system that they've got going, and Graham Potter is a great manager. To be honest, I think he should be doing the England job. He is so good, and I could really see them pushing, surprisingly, for a top 10 position, even ninth. Maybe it's too early to say that, but obviously Undav has come back, and to be honest, I think he'll have an amazing season. I really think he's underrated, even though obviously he had a great season last season in the Belgian league. But yeah, I can see Undav being that striker that they've needed for so long. Maybe getting 15 to 20 goals, which maybe 20 is pushing it, but maybe 15 goals all competitions, something like that. And I think he'll have a great season for them. They've still got a solid defense. The defense know each other really well, and I see something coming along there. Maybe a push. Maybe they are missing a few signings, and again, it might be a bit too early to be putting them ninth. But I really think they've done well, and I think they'll break into the top 10, maybe 10th, but I'm going to put them ninth because I see them doing it. Now, moving on to 10th, I've got Wolves. To be honest with you, I have no idea what they've done in this transfer window. I've not heard much from them. I think, they haven't done much, so I have put them down a couple positions. I still think they'll have a solid season, but I just don't see much happening. Obviously, Jose Sarr is a great keeper, top 5 in the league, if you ask me. The likes of Connor Cody at centre back. You've got Jimenez is there, and Neto. It's a good squad. I just haven't really seen much of what they've done in the transfer window, so it's too early to say much about them. I just think they'll come 10th. They'll have a standard season. It's more of a chilled out year again. Similar with Chelsea, they kind of take a little fall back, and then next season they'll push up the table. But this season I don't see them doing much, just sitting in 10th. Now on to 11th place, I've got Crystal Palace, because to be honest, might be a bit low actually, considering some of the business they've got. They've got so many great strikers. Mateta's coming through the ranks. He's a great player, along with Eze and Zaha's still there, and Guaita in goal. They've got a really good team, and again, I've said this about quite a lot of teams. It's a good squad, and I think they can do something quite good this season. Again, I'm gonna put them in 11th. I don't think they'll. Again, I don't really think they'll do too much, but I think they'll look threatening. They'll beat some of the big teams. They might even beat us on the first day of the season. I'm very worried about that fixture. Because we don't have a great record against Palace, and their squad looks scary, to be honest. But I don't see them doing all that much. Just an 11th place finish, mid-table. I think Palace might be a bit unhappy with that, actually. They might be wanting to finish, where Brighton are. But I'm going to be putting them in 11th right now. Now, moving on to 12th, I'm going to put Leicester City. This is because, really, maybe this is even too high for them, to be honest, because they've lost Kasper Schmeichel, Yuri Tielemans, two of their best players, probably their two best players, to be honest with you. Jamie Vardy's getting on. We saw last season he could get injuries. A lot of their team got injured last season. It can happen again, and they've lost players. They haven't brought anyone in, and they don't look like a side I'm worried about facing in the Premier League next season. This season I was like, oh, Leicester, you never know. They're still quite a good team. But this season, to be honest, I don't see them finishing above 12th even, which is, surprising, but I really don't see it happening. And yeah, I think Leicester, they'll finish 12th, and their fans will be disappointed, and as they should be. But no business has been made. I can't put them any higher. Now, on to 13th, I'm going to put Newcastle United. I think this is going to be the last team that I'm going to put out of relegation battle, and I think they'll be quite comfortably 13th. Now, even though, they've had a great window, just something tells me that Newcastle aren't going to do it this season. I think next season, you're looking at 7th maybe. But this season, I don't see Newcastle United pushing very far. Maybe, I think they came 13th last season, didn't they? But maybe, they might go top 10. But I don't think they'll be breaking into Europe at all. They have a quite a good team. They've made some good business. But, even Eddie Howe's a great manager. But I just don't think it'll click this season. I think it'll all gel next season, and that's when they'll push for those European spots, with their new owners. Now on to 14th and the highest up in the relegation battle. I'm going to be putting Brentford. It's another club where I just haven't heard much about their business. I think, they were very good in the Premier League last season for a newly promoted side for the first time in their history, and Ivan Toney impressed, and Wemu impressed. A lot of players impressed in that team, even the likes of Pinnock and stuff like that. Raya even. Again, it's a good team. I think they'll slip a bit this season. They'll fall into the relegation battle, but to be honest, I think they'll be very comfortable. They'll be maybe 5 points behind Newcastle, and then the teams below Brentford I think will really be in the thick of it. But I think Brentford will have a little scare throughout the season where they think, oh, we might get relegated here. But I think overall they'll have a good season. I think overall they'll have an okay season. Surviving relegation, nothing too scary. Now moving on to 14th, maybe I'm putting them a bit high, but I don't think they'll finish below any other teams. It's going to be Everton. Not much business there. Again, it's another one of those clubs where they can interchange with any of these teams in the relegation battle. I honestly think the three teams relegated are quite obvious, and then any of the teams above up until Newcastle, I think are quite hard to predict because to be honest, Everton can go here or they can stay there. Again, it's another club, to be honest. I haven't seen, Everton have signed this player, Everton have signed this player. They haven't done much. And I think they'll have, I think they'll have a worse season than last season in terms of how they play. But I think they'll probably finish higher because I think the relegation teams will get a lot less points. I think there'll be a high differential between the top end of the table and the bottom end of the table. I think the top 7 will take all the points from the bottom 7, if that makes sense. And I think Everton will survive the drop. They'll have a worse season than last season, but better in terms of place because of that. Now, moving on to 15th, I'm going to put Fulham. I think Fulham have had a great transfer window, to be honest. I'm putting them quite high. At the start of the transfer window, I'm thinking, yo, they're going straight back down. Even though they've lost Fabio Carvalho, who I talked about with Liverpool. The likes of Kevin and Babu. Bern Leno's a great keeper, obviously. I'm trying to think who else they brought in here, but they have Mitrovic, obviously. He's a great player. And yeah, their squad overall just looks really nice. I think they're just about going to survive this relegation and stay up in the Premier League, which It's great for Fulham. They'll survive the yo-yo, and maybe they go down next season if they don't, bring in a few more players. But I think they'll be fine. Now, moving on to 17th, and the last club that I believe will survive relegation, it is Southampton. Now, they brought in quite a few signings. I did have to check. I've searched them all up. But to be honest with you, a lot of them are very risky. They brought in a couple from Manchester City's youth academy, which is like they haven't played in the Premier League. Maybe you've sent your scouts to watch them. I don't know what they're doing really. To be honest, they've brought in quite a few players, but none of them are big names like Kevin and Babu for Fulham. He's one of the best right backs in the Bundesliga. He's moving to a side that's just got promoted in the Premier League. He's gonna smash it for Fulham. Whereas Southampton are bringing in players no one's heard of. Yes, admittedly, they have brought in someone who's scored in the Europa League final, so you can't fully slate that. But it seems, I don't know. It just seems that Southampton haven't made any big name signings like Fulham have, Newcastle have, these clubs that are going up, going up in the Premier League table compared to where you expect them to be. And that's why I'm going to put them 17th. Now moving on to the first relegation team, moving on to 18th, I'm going to put Leeds United. Quite surprising, a lot of people would say. But to be honest, they've actually had decent window. Jesse March is quite a good manager. Decent window in terms of incomings, of course. Zakaria has come in. But in terms of outcomings, you're looking at their two best players by a long shot. Rafinha and Calvin Phillips are going to be big losses for Leeds, especially going to Premier League competitors, Man City, obviously. For Phillips, it's not the end of the world. It just means that Man City will beat Leeds 6-0 instead of 5-0. But I don't see Leeds staying up. I don't think their team's good enough for it. Melier just hasn't seemed to reach his potential. He seems like not a very good keeper. I think he could let in quite a few, not a very good keeper despite his potential. I think he could let in quite a few goals this season. And I just think Leeds will suffer from a bad defence. Obviously, they've got Patrick Bamford back, which is huge because he was out for the whole of last season. And they have a good team, no doubt. But again, it's the Premier League. It's brutal. I'm going to put Leeds to go down into 18th position. Now, moving on to 19th position. And to be honest, I'm tempted to put them in 18th. I put them in 19th. I'll keep them there for now. And I wouldn't be surprised if they survive relegation. I just don't see it happening. It's Nottingham Forest. Now, to be honest, props to them. They've had a great window. Nico Williams, Niakate are great signings. Jesse Lingard, I think, is perfect for a side like Forest. Premier League experience. Yes, he's a bit expensive, but you've got to spend big if you're going to join the Premier League. I just don't think they've spent enough. Like they've brought in loads and loads of players, and they've spent a lot of money in terms of, they spent about 60 million, maybe 70 million. But I don't think they spent enough on like a big name player. Niakate is obviously quite a big player, but I don't think he'll be enough to stop them leaking goals and drop them down the table. I really don't. I see Forest going down in 19th position. I'm not like a championship fan, so I don't know much about them, but I do know that their manager is great, and he's brought them up into the Premier League, despite them being shit at the start of the season. But I just don't see it, to be honest. I don't think they'll have a good enough season, and I think they'll just about go down. I think it's going to be very tight, but I think Southampton will comfortably have it at the end. But like throughout the season, it'll be tight. Now, moving on to the final club, and the club I think is going to go down, like at the last position, is Bournemouth. Unfortunately for them, I think that the Cherries are going to go down. And to be honest, they've made some decent transfers, especially on the right side. You're looking at Marcus Tavernier and Ryan Fredericks, which I think are two great signings. But they've only brought in, 4 players, no major improvements to the squad. And if you look at all these other teams in the Premier League, I just think they're better. Again, I'll say it about Bournemouth. They have a great squad, but it's just not good enough for the Premier League, I don't think. I think they'll go down, maybe bounce back next season and come straight back up. But I don't think this is the season for them. I think they will finish I think they'll finish dead bottom in 20th position. Anyway, thank you for watching my Premier League predictions for the 2022-2023 season. At the end of the year, I will review it and I'll probably do a little point system to see how well I did. And this will be something I do every year with the Premier League. But yeah, this is my table. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments if you want. And please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Anyway, thank you for watching my Premier League predictions for the 2022-2023 season. At the end of the year, I will review it and I'll probably do a little point system to see how well I did. And this will be something I do every year with the Premier League. But yeah, this is my table. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments if you want. And please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.